Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
I'm Daniel.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we're going to do a review of Fractured Sky from Ivy Studios. Plays 1 to 5 players and ages 14 and up. Says like an hour and a half, tops.
It's close to accurate.
Probably pretty close. I mean, with our learning game, it was
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Somewhere about that,
just over 60.
So in Fractured Sky, we are taking to these floating islands, and we're trying to recover bits of the Starfall. And the person who has the most Starfall at the end of the game wins. This was sent to us by Ivy Studios, but we're not getting paid. They just sent us the game. So all of that being said, what do we do in this amazingly produced game? Well, we're going to be taking turns and during our turn. It's weird, right? Crazy concept. You can do basically one of 3 or 4 things. You can build a market, you can build a fortress, and those can go in these little floating platforms in between here. And then that's going to tell you what areas it affects. The market is going to allow you to generate extra resources if you have a presence there, and then the fortress will contribute power if you have a presence there. Or you could build a skimmer, put that guy out. That will add 1 power, but it does not trigger the fortresses or the markets. But it does give you a little bit of a presence there to allow you to get rewards when we resolve that. The other things you can do is you might want to peek at the hidden Starfall track. So all those cards are revealed, but normally during a game, depending on the round, there will be a certain amount of those Starfall cards that are out. So in round 1, there's only 1. It's hidden, and you can pay 2 gold to scout that area. So you can see where the Starfall is going to land at the end of the round. So you might want to go there and have a presence there so you can try to get points, because that's the name of the game. But when you're there and you see what it is, you can choose to take one of those resources. If you do, you're going to take one of your player markers and put it on the indicated resource. So that might give other players a clue
of where it's going to be.
And where it could be. Other players can also look. They can take the same resource. They would either, if they take the same resource, they'll just put their cube in the slot above. Or otherwise, if they took a different resource, they would populate that spot, which then might like really narrow it down. But it just depends.
It's got gold and wood. Well, it's one of 2 places.
Right, right. And it just kind of depends on what you need. But it is a way to get resources. Otherwise, you are going to need to win locations. Well, or come in second or third. Have a presence in locations if you have markets there. The other thing you can do is there's also going to be hidden objective cards. Right now, they're all revealed, but basically, that is your round tracker. So round 1, the first objective will get revealed, but you can spend 2 of any resource to peek at that, and then you're going to put an indicator up on the top to show in that top row to show that you've looked at it.
And that's important too, because it's not a memory game, so if you forget, you can always go back and look at it, which is super helpful.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you can. Oh wait, my cube is there. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Right. And now the meat and potatoes, right? The coolest part of this game is you've got these 3 airships, and this is really kind of like also what indicates when you've ended a turn. So you've got all of these numbered discs behind your player screen. There's 2 zeros, and then it's 1 through 10. The 1 and the 10 both have a different coloring around.
Like border,
So because what's going to happen is these player ships are magnetized. And so I can see around that there's a white border there. So I know, like, if that was Spencer's ship, I know that he's either placed a 1 or a 10, and I don't know which one. Another very important thing is you're going to, through the course of the round, place all of your airships. If you have more than a total of 10, that is going to apply a negative to every
whatever the difference is.
Yeah, everywhere where you have presence. So it is very important to pay attention to your math. Maybe you go really high anyways because it might be worth taking the negative. Nobody did that in our game, but Dan talked about it.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I was too far behind at the time.
Sure. But yeah, so because what you're going to do is when you place an airship, you're going to place it on one of the islands, and that's sort of your power, your strength in that area. And then you're going to add up any towers that you have contributing, and if you've played any skimmers, they will be there as well. And that's going to help you win a location, because maybe then the Sinister Spires will reveal and have, oh no, now there's another ship there. So if we were to reveal right now, Bob's got a 7. Ooh, you went heavy. Oh, but I got a 7 as well. I do have some towers.
Dang it.
If we had tied, we would defer to turn order. So
Yeah.
earliest in turn order is going to win the battle. Then there is a tiered system for the rewards you get. So basically the first battle reward would be you get the Starfalls if there is Starfall there. Then second, or if there's no Starfall, you will gain both resources shown on the island. Then third would be 1 resource, and fourth would be no resource. But again, having markets around can add to this, right? And you can have multiple markets tied to a location, which can really generate you a lot of resources if you plan well. Once you've placed your third airship, you're going to slide your cube down, and you're going to pick where you go out of the remaining player spots. So if you're the first one to have placed your third airship, you can pick. I would either pick 1 or 4, because if you go in the last 2 spots, you're going to gain an extra gold for going towards the end. And otherwise, you get to go first, which is pretty rad.
And break ties.
And break ties, which is
Yeah.
probably even more important.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I like that, being able to choose whether you're going to take your action first and be the tiebreaker, or you want to go last and get to react where everybody's at, but then
Right.
you're going to lose all the ties.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, if you were the first person to go to a location, there's a little card icon on there. You're going to get to take one of the unused hidden location cards, and you're going to look at it, and you know that there's not going to be Starfall there.
You get to keep that for the round.
You get to keep it for the round. There will also be a public location where everybody knows Starfall is going to happen here in the Woeful Wetlands, and they can double up.
Right.
So you might have an area where both the public and the hidden
are the same.
Especially
Especially once you get later in the round.
Yeah, you
you're
can
doing
even have the
4
objective
hiddens.
doing it 3 in 1 area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you win an objective, you're going to get a Starfall. And after 5 rounds, most Starfall wins. If there's a tie, again, it is resolved in player order. That's sort of the quick and dirty how to play of the game. I guess, first of all, let's just talk about the components. Bob,
Yeah.
what did you think of the components?
I mean, you know, I love me a dual layer player board, and this thing is fantastic. Like, I love the way it tracks the resources. It holds all your ships. It's got this screen here to keep your bids high. And like the first time I took my ship, and I went,
Click.
oh my gosh, yeah. I'm thinking, oh, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. And then you get to put it down, and it keeps it hidden so nobody can see it until it's ready to reveal it. I mean, I love games that have like magnetics and fancy components. It's fantastic. These little Starfall things are great. The biggest knock I have is red green, folks. Why are we still doing reds and greens? I had a hard time delineating them from when they're on the board. I was like, oh, these two. Then they're like, well, no, that one's Tim. I was like, oh, see, I thought I knew what I was doing, but apparently I didn't. Luckily, I was yellow, so that was not a big deal for me so much, but it is unfortunate those colors are very, very close and for me, and I had a hard time telling them apart. But like are these like upgraded cards?
Those
that
are
came with it?
Kickstarter, yeah.
ones?
So there's
Okay.
regular versions still
Okay.
in the box.
But those are fantastic. They're nice and thick and chonky.
And they do like a little 3D.
There's a hologram.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
hologram
holograms
thing.
on there. I like the art on the board. Like you put these little the markets and the towers on there, and they have these little like plus signs and arrows where everything is like affected too. I wish like some of the areas maybe have like a faint circle around the zone itself. So because I thought that one of these areas was like connected to the other one, but it was 2 different
Well,
things.
the areas do have a color that
And
shows
that's-
where they point.
Yeah, well, it's so small, and like this and that were pretty close.
Yeah.
So these two here are close.
But like here at Creepy Cove, you can usually see those, but this was a lot further away. You're less likely to notice.
That, yeah, because that one's way down low there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does have like underneath the little collections of hexes, like 2, 3, or 4 plus signs there. So it lets you know like how many zones that does connect to, which is helpful. But yeah, and the play areas were super nice. There, those are helpful. Yeah, that is well done. Like this, I haven't put the game away yet, but looking at the storage trays, like it looks fantastic.
It's not too bad. It's setting up is a little bit because you're kind of building all the player trays and setting everything up.
Sure.
But then putting away is going to go really fast.
Okay.
Spencer.
Oh yeah, the components are fantastic. I mean, this thing is not just cardboard; it's plastic, so it's robust. This is more than dual layer. It is amazing.
Yeah.
every one of the ships.
Multi-tiered.
Yeah, multi-tiered. There we
There
go.
you
Each player gets their own unique ships. All the others are the same, I believe, but at least the ships are all pretty cool looking. They're unique. I mean, these things are neat. The sky.
Starfall.
Starfalls. Thank you. Yeah, the cards. You said these are probably Kickstarter ones.
Yep.
But I mean, even the art on them is fantastic. I really like the art. It's digital art, but it's really nice digital art. Yeah, I love the components on this thing.
Daniel.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add. If we're talking about components, they're fantastic. I'm told this is the company that did Moonrakers, and you can tell the quality put into the production here. A couple things that weren't mentioned is the board is double-sided for player count, so you have that going as well. And I really like that the insane production put into the player board is not just to look nice, you know? Having a dual layer that tracks your currency is necessary in games where you have this type of currency tracking. You know, people complain about like terraforming Mars. You know, you have to buy upgrades in order to track your money because if a tiny bump happens, everything's ruined. You guys have already seen in this video, I've bumped my player tray a couple times. And the fact that it holds things where they're supposed to be, it's just necessary for stuff like this. Now, they don't need that for the buildings, but if you're gonna dual layer the money, why not dual layer the buildings? Like it makes perfect sense that they did that. And again, the magnets, right? Not necessary in a lot of games, but the fact that you're hiding bids here means that where you're claiming your bid isn't getting knocked around. It isn't revealing anything. You don't have to put your bid face
Doesn't
down.
accidentally fall over.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah, because even that doesn't.
Yep. So again, necessary? No, but it's also not just to up the price. There's clear thoughts put into here on what is going to make ease of play and ease of teach easier. You know, the quality enhances.
The experience.
Quality of life enhancement.
Exactly. It's almost there. It's almost like an advanced quality of life enhancement. So I appreciate that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's only positive, guys. The production quality is insane.
Yeah, like some people would say like overproduced, but to me like that's what I love that about that. Like it's.
And again, what I'm trying to say though is I don't think it's insanely overproduced. It's slightly overproduced, but most of the decisions
and I don't mean
made.
that in a derogatory sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying it usually is.
No,
thrown around
right.
that way.
Well, I mean, overproduced would be like, well, that wasn't necessary. And again, so the only thing that is, in my opinion, kind of overproduced is basically these.
The holograph
and
cards.
But I like how thick they
Yeah,
are.
I like how thick they are.
They're wonderful. You could use the regular ones and be fine, and still have is just the same experience. These are very cool. I love them. I'm glad that we have them.
I am worried about, I had those when I was a kid, right? That was like the
they-
new technology back then. But I am worried about them getting scratched up. You can't really sleeve those. So, and when you scratch these up, it does ruin the entire point of their image reflecting and stuff like that. So, but they're
We'll
awesome.
see how they hold up over time.
Right.
All right, let's just get into our final thoughts, general thoughts of the game, and we'll go with Bobby again.
Okay.
First.
A couple things I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about the player aids, but like that trade-off between the going first or last. Because at first I was like, man, I'm just stuck going last each time, and like if I want to keep building stuff, then I'm going to be putting my ships out last. I'm going to be stuck going last and never getting tiebreaker. But then I realized, but also going last, I'm getting to see where everybody else goes, and I'm getting to react to that. Because then I went to go first, like, well, crap, now I'm going first, and everybody's going to get to react to my moves. So that is a nice trade-off between the going first and breaking tiebreakers, or the going last, gaining a bonus resource, but then you also get to react to where everybody else is gone. So I did enjoy that little trade-off. And then I like the escalating starfall. So it's like you start at the beginning, and it's only like 2 starfalls and 3, and then they start, becoming more and more and more, and you're getting, and you can look ahead at the future rounds for like the different objectives at the top, and be like, ooh, okay, so I know that come the 3rd round, I want to make sure I scout, or the 4th round, scout a bunch of these places, because that's what it's looking for, is the person that scouted the most. And that's super neat, being able to almost like, not say future-proof, but be prepared for future rounds if I've got extra resources in an earlier round.
Yeah, you'll know I need to get a whole bunch of gold because I'm going to need to buy a whole bunch of scouts.
I'm going to need to scout a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, like I think it was just really well done. The gameplay, the way you take your actions, the hidden. Like I'm not really much of like a bidding kind of person, and it almost feels like you're bidding on the locations with your army strength and whatnot. But I really enjoyed it. So
you're secretly assigning.
You're secretly assigning your strength. It's not necessarily, but it's almost like a strength bid.
Yeah, it changes it a little bit.
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah, I noticed buying the buying
Markets,
the buildings and markets, and being able to scout and peek is the other term, is very useful, especially as you're getting towards the end, because I want to hide what I know. And I'm like, if I put my guy there, they're going to probably suspect that that's a place I'm
Hunter has
going.
information.
So I want to go as far back as possible. So just getting the right resources and knowing how to spend them so I can delay as long as possible
Right.
was kind of key.
Yeah. And it's almost like you could look at one and then take your white one and be like, oh, well, I better go here. And everybody's like, oh, that's the white one. That's probably a 10 because he just looked.
That's exactly what I did, and they called my bluff.
I actually just wasn't paying attention to what you were doing. So
Well, everyone went into the desert after I did that, and I was like, oh, well. But it didn't matter in the end. I did very well. The game is... I really liked it. It's not too hard to learn. It's not too hard to play.
the rulebook seemed really straightforward.
It definitely has that social element of trying to guess what your other person is thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Daniel,
What?
what'd you think?
Oh, I have very few negative things to say about the design of this game, and I don't have a lot of positive things to say about my experience with the game. This is a very well-designed game, beautifully designed, elegant game, and it's just not what I want from a game, unfortunately. I don't tend to love area control games, although I do think Bob recently complained about a game that was an area control game that didn't feel like one. This one's kind of that as well. This is an area control game, or area majority game, whatever you want to call it, that really relies much more on the blind bidding, the blind, taking
what
control,
token you put
of what you're doing, which I agree with Bob, feels exactly like bidding. Like, I understand it's not bidding, but if you played that mechanic in another game, you could just call it bidding and get away with it. And so I don't like that blind bidding going into it. And I've said before, if I'm playing a board game that has a lot of social reading people aspects in it, I just want to play a social deduction game. I tend not to love having that mixed into another game. There's also your market can really collapse in this game, and I don't think that's going to be rare because they mention in the rule book that you should build certain things really early or your market can collapse and it becomes very hard to come back. I don't like that. New players are going to have a really hard time knowing what to build when, and unless they follow exactly what the rule book says, which then you're not playing a game, you're just playing the rule book, your market can collapse, which happened to me kind of early, and it's very, very hard to come back from. Once your market falls apart, you're not getting the resources to buy the buildings to make resources. And then not only that, but you can't look ahead in this if you don't have the resources to pay for it. And so if you're not looking ahead, the game just becomes luck. You're just like, okay, well, I'll just go to the peaceful plains and hope that no one else sees that there's Starfall going there, and I'll just grab one luckily. And honestly, I was doing really well the first half of the game. I was winning, I would say, the first half of the game. But again, that was me barely holding on to my market. Every single turn I ended with 0 of everything.
Well, it was funny because there was one round where you were not really wanting to win all the Starfall because you weren't able to get the resources.
And that's where it turned around. I think it was right around here.
Exactly, and that leads into the luck thing also that I was saying is obviously, this goes if you can't look ahead. If you can look ahead, it's expensive, but you can plan things out then. But let's just say you can't look ahead. If you really need resources for a round, you might just get unlucky and get a bunch of Starfall, which is your win condition, but then you're not set up for next round. Or let's say you're doing really well on resources and you have the Starfall, but then you just unluckily, someone beats you with the bid. That happens. That's the way the word game works. Now you have a bunch of resources that you didn't need, which sets you up for next round, but you didn't need it. Now you're behind in the victory condition. There's this weird limbo version of luck going on in this game where you're really relying on the stars to fall when you need them to. And if that doesn't happen, it can feel really disheartening to be like, man, that's exactly what I needed to not happen this round.
Well, one of the things I did was I set up all my marketplaces around a couple of areas so that even if I go there and lose, I'm still getting a bunch of resources from there, and they're resources that are good for peaking. So that is kind of a way to mitigate it a bit. It means you are sacrificing early game because you're not going to be getting any Starfalls very much, unless you get lucky.
Right. And so, yeah, I don't think the game is really for me. I would totally play it again. I think the actual design elements here, there's very little that I think is bad. If you go into this game and you know what to play, like, listen to a review or watch a video beforehand of something, you know what's coming, there's very few things that I don't think are beautifully designed in this game. It's just that when I'm sitting down playing a game like this, I don't think the pieces come together for me personally. It's also funny because I was talking about, I don't like the social thing being kind of like into games. It's why I don't like bidding. I say social thing, but really I'm just talking about when you get bidding in games, you're having to read the other players. I'll just play poker or something, or werewolf. Like, I just don't want that in a board game usually. But if you're gonna have it in the game, go all in. If this game had negotiation in it, and it had, I can buy information from other players and we can trade resources, like there's a trade resource mechanic in the game. If I could do that with other players, Bob, you give me 2 wood and I'll give you a gold. I know how bad you need a gold. Oh man, this game I think would really open up for me. I think that when you have this type of area control, this type of bidding, this type of foreknowledge, this type of action selection with trading and building ships, you start getting, and they made Moonrakers. So it makes sense that they wouldn't want their next game to just be another negotiation game.
Yeah.
But I think you might have missed your chance to really get a good negotiation game in here as well. You guys proved Moonrakers that you can make one, and I think it would have done something here, but that's just me.
See, to me though, the Moonrakers is too much of that, and this is like just a little bit enough of it that it's okay
Sure.
for me. But yeah, I think that's just different taste for different people.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
mean-
describing, by saying to put that in, I'm literally describing a different game. So I get it.
No, but I mean, I think that's totally fair because the thing is there have been games for me in the past where it's like, I like all these mechanics. And I'm not saying you love all these mechanics, but it's
all of them.
like, there's things that I really like about this game, but it just doesn't like come together. Now, that's not the case for me here. I would almost house rule like some catch-up mechanic with a resource. Like if you just had such terrible luck, like maybe if you were the least amount of Starfall or something, you can gain a resource. I know that wouldn't have helped Dan because at one point he had a ton of Starfall, but the last couple rounds, Dan had no resources. So he was placing his ships out very early and then getting first player. But I mean, he couldn't do much else while everybody else is taking 5-6 actions. And I totally understand how much that sucks when you're watching other people
people just
play the
take
game.
turns.
Well, and it just
you were
really-
taking an arbitrary turn.
It just really sucked because I literally just, like, my first 3 actions were putting my ships out. It's just like, I'll just grab some stuff, it's whatever. And then those just so happened to be where the Starfall was
Yeah.
landing, which I could not have known. So then everyone else rushed there and I got nothing. Like, so all I could do is guess and hope to be able to get stuff. And then I just so happened to get unlucky and not get anything out of it. And that's a feels bad, but it happens.
No, yeah, I mean, it totally happens. Totally happens. And also, I mean, you might play different on future plays, but maybe not. I mean, you just don't know. It was really tough, I will say, because Spencer really built up this market, and he had so many resources that
So
he
much
could
resources.
basically do whatever he wanted.
It came down to the last round. I think we had a 3-way tie at a certain point, and then one round.
Yeah, but
I got
but
the
I guess
starting
my
line.
argument is all of your resources
Yeah.
made sure you were able to win the
Correct.
game.
Yeah,
the
'cause-
scores were pretty close, so it was 9-6 to 5-5.
Yeah.
So all the normal people. So technically, I won
Right.
because
not
we're not
normal.
going to count
We know I'm
Spencer's
not normal.
score. So technically, I won.
Okay,
That's
So
pretty
you're
good.
actually a bad teacher.
Oh, yeah, I'm good with that.
You learned off the play rates. They're the bad teacher. But no, I had a good time with this. There is a little bit of, sort of that, and again, it's a mechanic that Dan doesn't like, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to guess that it's going to be the Dreadful Desert. And I literally went to draw the card of the locations it will not be, and it was the Dreadful Desert. But I had to, keep it cool because I wanted to be like, and just start.
I do enjoy how you when you put your ship out on a location that's got one of these stars, you get to draw one of the unused cards so you know where it's not going to be.
Yes.
And it's very reminded me of the probe deck in
Rebellion, which is a game
And
we enjoy.
I really like that. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know that this game is perfect or anything like that. I do think there's maybe one thing that it's missing, but I did have a really good time playing it, and I think the production value is really fun. I think that also carries it a little bit, but it's pretty well designed. I think that they did. I think all the mechanics work pretty well together. I think that the economy is just for
little
everybody
too
but
tight?
Spencer.
Little tight.
It was a little too tight for everybody but Spencer.
If there was any type of gradual income, it would have turned everything around. Like, looking at these cards or, anything that had a slight income.
Because the tough part was you have to have a ship in a location touching your markets to get your markets to proc.
Right.
Right. So the markets don't just generate you that income. placing your ship on a spot does not get you that income. You're just trying to get
And
that
you might
income.
just get victory points and not get the income. Because I've gone to a
Yeah.
spot thinking I was going to get second place, and turned out I won. I was like, well, crap, I wanted the wood.
Yeah, and that really hamstrung me towards the end of the game. As I couldn't get any wood. Like I was getting a lot of gold and a lot of stone, and I was using the gold to like look ahead and do some stuff like that. But then I didn't have the other resources I needed to build things to take advantage of the locations that I got knowledge of. So, I mean, some of it can be get good, play smarter, and I think some of it is maybe the economy. It can be a little tight unless you're Spencer and you put out all of your markets around three different locations, and those are the only 3 locations you play your ships.
Right, but then those locations keep coming up in the Starfall.
Yeah, and that's
You
just
get
the
lucky.
luck.
I did get lucky with
That's just the luck
The Cretan
there.
Cliffs came up like 3 times in a row.
Over and over again.
But overall, that's my feeling. I had a really good time. It's not perfect. I think this was a very fun game. The only good thing, as far as Dan goes, in the Feel Bad game, at least it's over relatively quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Because I have played some
3-hour game.
Yeah,
where-
3-hour game.
God.
And if you are on the 3rd round out of 5 and you're like, I can't do anything, and you still have another hour and a half to go, it's like, well, I hate this, you know.
Yeah, this game did not drag out or overstay its welcome at all, for sure.
Unfortunately, Dan just had about 20 minutes of playtime where there wasn't a lot of actions for him to do. But I mean, a totally valid, like I understand, what you're saying.
Well, I
mean,
played that way on purpose to like help learn the game, right? Like you guys needed to see what it would be like for someone to play that way.
Yeah, we
Right.
need to see somebody just
Someone
be
has to
really
lose.
bad at the game.
True. Thanks, Dan.
And so Spencer was like,
Fall on that
then
spear.
we'll be really
I'll do the
good at
good
the
one,
game.
yeah.
And then Bob and I were like, what's happening?
I don't know.
But all right, let's give this game a rating. Daniel.
Hi. We are going to rate this game 1 through 10 with our own personal and completely biased opinions based on our own experiences and past lives. Then at the end, we're going to average it all together so that Board Game Rundown has a single score that we share on our social medias and Board Game Geek.
Bobby,
It's me.
what do you get Fractured Sky?
Well, considering my life and past events, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Like, I really enjoyed it. I want to play again. This is one I wouldn't mind having in my collection, so I can pull it off and show some more people how to play.
Get better at it.
Get better. Get better. At it. Key.
Spencer.
Well, despite winning, I'm going to give it an 8.5 as well.
Oh.
It did get the
What
point
about your-
bump for winning.
What about your past lives, though? Is that still...
No, I didn't have any.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
I'm a twin.
Daniel.
Oh, yeah. He's simu-living like at the same time.
Despite losing. Talking about the game did make my score go up a bit. Again, I think there's mostly positive stuff here. It just wasn't designed for me. I'm going with a 6.5. It's a well-made game. I would play it again. I wouldn't request playing it again at this point. There's other games that have some similar mechanics that maybe do more for me. And also Moonrakers is really good.
Hey,
wanna
there's
play
nothing
Moonraker.
wrong with
That's
going,
true.
you know what, this game does a little bit of this, I'd rather have that.
Right,
Or
right.
whatever. It's an 8 for me. I thought this was really fun. Again, I think there's some flaws. I really would like to play it a few more times and see if how that economy balances out like through different games, and how those situations play out. But for the most part, pretty fun.
So if you take all of our scores and you add them together, it's a 7.9.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I accept.
Pretty good. No, I mean, I'm really glad we got this opportunity because this game's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
The
Yeah.
art's
The art's
great.
great.
The rule book is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. We haven't tried the solo, or the 2-player that adds an AI.
And are those game trays?
I don't know.
But they're good trays. They're good trays.
The box insert is just as good as the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't see it say game trays on there. It might just be some other.
They do flaunt that a lot.
Usually they do.
Usually
Usually
they're,
on
hey.
there, and it might just be some other company. But it looks like it would be
Jesus.
game trays quality.
Well done, Spencer.
what does this do? Yeah.
He's our steady-handed.
Oh, yes. We
He's
should
our
show them
surgeon.
that video.
Anyways, well, if you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, doing all of those things. We also
Sorry,
We also do have a Patreon if you would like to support the show financially to help us keep creating all this fun and exciting and noisy content.
What?
But if that's not your bag, that's fine too. Just leave us a comment. We really appreciate the interaction. We do a live show every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, where you'll see Mike and I hanging out in our respective basements, talking to anybody that'll talk to us.
Yeah, the chat's pretty active.
Chat's very active. And we also have a super fun and active Discord. And before Spencer jumps out of his seat in anticipation,
Yeah.
he wrote a book.
I wrote a book. Yep. It's available on Amazon. Easy enough to find. We'll probably have a link to it. Sinister Love, Urban Fantasy. Check it out.
And it might be on Kickstarter if you watch this soon enough.
If you watch it soon enough, or if this comes out soon enough.
Yeah. But it is funded, so it's getting published.
It's funded.
right?
Yep.
It's safe.
It's safe,
It's
as Sam likes to
safe,
say.
Dan. Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. For the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Spencer.
Daniel.
If you can say the title's only 3 words.